What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel. And today I have an updated Gimmick puppet deck profile for you guys. Yeah, it's been a while since I've worked on this deck, and I figure why not give it a bit of an upgrade. So, excuse me. So what I did was I cut it down from what I had originally to the deck that you guys are about to see right now. If you guys did not know, my last build was actually pretty unique. It was pretty unique. My monster lineup was rather interesting. I had my last build was two Shadow Feeler, 3 Magnet Doll, 3 Beast Doll, 2 Twilight Joker, 1 Gear Spring Spirit, triple Jury Doll, 1 Destroy, double Scissor Arms, triple Terror Baby, and triple Humpty Dumpty. My spell lineup was triple Trade-In, 1 Condolence Puppet, double Machine Dude, double Junk Puppet, 1 Reborn, 1 Call By, 1 Argent Chaos Force, 1 Numeron Force, double Quick Chaos, 1 Perform Puppet, 1 Imperm, and then for my traps I had 1 Imperm, triple Puppet Parade, 1 Zing Zang Hu, and double Solemn Warning. And my extra deck lineup was basically consisted of two of number 15, 2 number 40, 1 88, 1 C15, 1 Chaos 15, 2 Chaos 40, 1 Chaos 88, two Gear Gigant X, 1 Gigantus Doll, 1 Unicorn, and 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and then 2 Chimera Doll. And my side deck had 2 Ash, 2 Bell, 1 Beelzes of the Diabolic Dragons, 1 Friendly Lord Omega, 1 Duster, 2 Forbidden Chalice, 2 Xyz Import, the second Imperm, 2 Wake of the Dragon, and the second Zing Zang Hu. This build is so different that I decided to make it better. So what's cool about this is that it's a 40 build, it's a 40 card build, and this is a deck that you don't see would get played at a YCS or something like that. More so like locals for the most part. But it's a pretty nasty build because of the fact that you've got 2 copies of a kaiju in this deck that works against the Floowandereeze deck, which I'll explain what that kaiju is a little later on. And then just the side deck is a bit different compared to what it was last time. This deck is just pretty nuts. I did some extensive test playing on this deck throughout the whole week. It was pretty crazy. So hopefully you guys are ready for this deck profile. If you guys are and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and follow me on all my social media, including my Instagram, because I always post the deck lists on my Instagram. So make sure you guys check it out. Check out the post when it goes live. Links will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. Let's get straight into it. Kicking these off is obviously the kaiju, and it is 2 copies of Gadarla the Mystery Dust Kaiju. This is like one of the only kaijus that can work against the Floowandereeze deck. And funny enough, I believe there is another kaiju that can actually combat against the Floowandereeze deck, and it's actually Gamseel, because I believe the Floowandereeze deck can run both the Wind Barrier statue and the Water Barrier statue, because the Floowandereeze, the Floo deck, I believe is all water and wind. Yeah, it's literally all water and wind. So Snow is the water, Empin's wind, Eaglin is wind. Yeah, it's all water and wind. So the Wind Barrier statue and the Water Barrier statue will be perfect for this deck. So I've got the two I got the 2 Gaddarlas in the main and the 2 Gamseel in the side. Next up, we've got 3 now for the Gimmick Puppet. So first up, we've got 3 copies of Gimmick Puppet Bisque Doll. This card is just absolutely nuts because it's a Cyber Dragon and it also has an effect when it's in the graveyard, which reads: you can banish this card from your grave. Your opponent cannot target Gimmick Puppet monster control with card effects this turn. So not even a card like so not even a card like say Bottomless Trapple, because Bottomless Trapple I believe targets, doesn't it? Bottomless. I guess not. I guess not. But basically, no card can be targeted. Basically, none of your Gimmick Puppets can be targeted with card effects. So not even a card like I think like Borderlord Savage Dragon targets. Nothing can destroy any of your Gimmick Puppets with card effects, which is absolutely insane. And also too, it's a level 8, so this card plus any other level 8 you have at your disposal, you instantly go into your Gimmick Puppet Exceeds monsters, which there's only 3 level 8s that are 3 rank 8s that are in the deck, which it's Gimmick Puppet. So obviously you're gonna have the Leo, you're gonna have the Strange, you're gonna have the Giant Grinder, and that's it. That's it. Plain and simple. Next up, we've got 3 copies of Gimmick Puppet Magnet Doll. This is basically another form of Cyber Dragon, which is pretty cool. So its effect reads: if your opponent controls a monster and all monster control are face-up Gimmick Puppet monsters, minimum 1, you can special summon this card from your hand. So Bisque Doll plus Magnet Doll, you instantly go into Giant Grinder really quickly. And the best part is that Giant Grinder's effect is a soft once per turn, meaning you can actually use its effect multiple times in the same turn. But because that you have because of the fact that you have like, how can I explain it? If your deck was running oh, what's that one card? I can't think of it. Exceeds Import. If your deck was running Exceeds Import, which sadly my deck isn't, then you would basically have like 3 materials on Giant Grinder, and if you activate Quick Chaos to go into your Gimmick Puppet Giant Hunter, you basically have 4. You basically have 4. I guess you could say 4 disruptions on board. I guess you could say. The only difference is that with Giant Grinder and Giant Hunter is that Giant Hunter can deal damage no matter what the monster is. Giant Grinder, the only way it can deal damage is if the damage is from your opponent's Exceeds monster, which is the only downside. But still, Bisque plus Magnet Doll, you instantly get a rank 8, just like that. And speaking of rank 8s, we have 2 more level 8s in this deck, which are 2 copies of Gimmick Puppet Twilight Joker and Dreary Doll, and 3 copies of Dreary Doll. Twilight Joker's effect is rather unique because its effect reads when a Gimmick Puppet monster you control is destroyed by battle and sent to the grave, you can banish that monster and special summon this card from your hand. So this is yet another form of Cyber Dragon. So let's say your Bisque Doll is were to be destroyed in battle, you basically get to banish your Bisque Doll, summon Twilight Joker, and then when your turn comes, if you still have the Twilight Joker on board, you can special summon the Magnet Doll from your hand, and you basically get a rank 8. This deck just ensures that you go into your rank 8 really quickly, really quickly. The 3 Dreary Dolls basically is the basic standard because of the fact that you've got the machine duplication in the deck. So So if you were to machine dupe either the Jury Doll, the Terror Baby, or the Humpty Dumpty, basically you have ways to go into your rank 4s or your rank 8s depending on what you summon, depending on what direction you want to go into. So Jury Doll literally is the basic standard because of its effect. If this card is in your grave, you can banish one other Gimmick Puppet monster you control. In your graveyard. Special summon this card. You can only use this effect once per turn. Cannot be used as material for an XC summon except for the XC summon of a Gimmick Puppet, which is unfortunate, but still, I mean, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Next up, 3 copies of Gimmick Puppet Terror Baby. This card is absolutely crazy because this card basically is basically acts as a monster reborn. So its effect reads: when this card is normal summon, you can target a Gimmick Puppet monster in your grave, except this card, special summon it in defense. You can banish this card from your grave. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the activation of your Gimmick Puppet monster effects this turn. So if you were to activate a card, activate the effects of, let's say, Gimmick Puppet Leo. So let's say you want to activate the effect of Gimmick Puppet Leo. Let's just say that you would have to first banish the Terror Baby, so your Gimmick Puppet Leo would not be destroyed or targeted by card effects, which is just absolutely nuts. It's a pretty broken card. I don't know why this card was even brought into the TCG, but it's pretty good. And then last but not least, 3 copies of Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall because if the card were to be normal summon or special summon, you basically get to Cyber Rev System a Gimmick Puppet from your hand. So basically, Humpty Dumpty plus Terror Baby, you instantly go get Gimmick Puppet, Gigantus Doll, or go into the Chimera Doll, which for the most part, you're gonna go into the Chimera Doll for the most part, because of the fact that you get to basically Stratos out one of your Gimmick Puppets to your hand and then just special summon it right away. Whereas opposed to Gigantus Doll, unfortunately it doesn't have any attack, which is kind of sad. But at least you're able to protect you're able to basically just pop your you're basically able to snatch steal 2 of your opponent's monsters, which could be almost anything, and if the effect goes through, you will be able to have quite the interesting board on your side of the field, which is pretty cool. So again, Humpty Dumpty plus Terror Baby, you instantly go into your Chimera Doll or the Gigantus Doll. Either way, you're going to be making a board that's pretty nuts. Moving on into the spells, and what you guys are about to see is absolutely insane. So first up, we have three copies of Condolence Puppet. This card is really cool because it basically acts as a foolish burial. So the effect reads: send Gimmick Puppet monsters with different names from your deck to the grave up to the number of monsters your opponent controls that were supposed to summon from the extra deck +1. You can banish this card from your grave and target one machine exceeds monster control. It cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects while face up on the field. You can only use each effect once per turn. Think about how many monsters you're sending to your graveyard off of Condolence Puppet. It's pretty good. It's pretty good because you can go ahead. You can activate the effects of your Beast Doll, activate the effects of your Terror Baby, activate the effects of Jury Doll, banish your cards, special summon the Jury Doll, and just instantly go into your Gimmick Puppet of Leo and just pop off from there, which is pretty cool. Next up, we have three copies of Junk Puppets. This is basically a Monster Reborn. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's a Monster Reborn, pretty standard. Not much else to say about that. We got the one Harpy's Feather Duster because obviously back row can be a huge pain in the fucking ass. And then we have 2 copies of probably the last card you would ever see be played in this deck, but it actually works. But you guys are wondering, what is that card? What is it? 2 copies of the field spell known as Heavy Metal Raiders. You guys have probably never heard of this card before, which I'm pretty sure I talked about this card on the channel before. But its effect reads, the first time each Dark Machine monster you control would be destroyed by battle, each turn it is not destroyed. And if you took battle damage from the battle, it gains that much attack after damage count, and keeps that attack gain while this card is on the field. Once per turn, if a monster you control that was originally a Dark Machine destroys a card or cards on the field by a battle card effect, you can special summon a Dark Machine from your hand. This basically just further ensures that you're able to go into your Gimmick Puppet of Leo and then just instantly transition into Gimmick Puppet Disaster Leo, which Disaster Leo is pretty fucking crazy. Yeah, it's pretty fucking crazy. Not much else to say about that. So it basically just, so not only is it a protection, but it's also it also lets you Cyber Dragon your Gimmick Puppet monsters to your field from your hand, because guess what? Guess what the attribute is of all the Gimmick Puppets? They're all dark. So guess what? Heavy Metal Rares is gonna work with this deck, which is pretty nuts. We got the triple machine duplication, obviously for the Humpty Dumpty, the Terror Baby, and the Jury Doll to go into your link plays, your Exceeds plays really quickly. And then we've got obviously the 3 trade-in, because not 3 trade, the 2 trade-in, because obviously if you have the Bistal in hand and you have no way to summon it, you can just activate the trade-in, send the Bistal to your grave, draw 2, and if those 2 happen to be, let's say, the Humpty Dumpty and the Terror Baby, you can banish the Bistal, normal summon the Humpty Dumpty, special summon the Terror Baby, go into your Chimera Doll, and you basically get to search out your Magnet Doll to your board really quickly, and then trigger Magnet Doll's effect. Activate your Magnet Doll's effect, special summon it, and then if you have another level 8 in grave, you can activate Junk Puppet, special summon, I'll say Twilight Joker. Guess what? You get a rank 8 on board. Not much else to say about that. And then for the rank up spells, we got the one Argent Chaos Force, because even though this card is at 3, you're gonna be using, it's only a 1-up, because nobody plays 3 of Argent Chaos Force, but still it's a pretty cool card. Be able to just recycle it back to your hand and then activate it again to go into your either your Giant Hunter, Dark Strains, or Disaster Leo. Pretty nuts. We got the one Numeron Force, because not only is this a rank up, it's also a Dark Ruler no more. So as long as you only have one Xyz monster on board, your opponent's whole board is gonna basically be treated as a Dark Ruler no more. This card is a Dark Ruler no more for your opponent, which is pretty insane. And then of course we got the rank up Magic Quick Chaos, because you want to activate this card during the battle phase, and if you have Gimmick Puppet of Leo on board, you can just Quick Chaos into the Disaster Leo, and be able to just, well, literally overpower your opponent like that. And then for the traps, there's only 4 in the deck. We've got two copies of Puppet Parade. This card is really cool because its effect is basically it's a way to get out your rank up spells a lot faster. So its effect reads, if your opponent controls excuse me. So its effect reads, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, special summon Gimmick Puppet monsters with different names from your deck up to the difference. So if your opponent has, let's say 4 monsters, I'll say 5 monsters on board, and you have 1. Let's just say that. That means you get to summon 4 monsters from your deck, which is really cool. Then if your opponent's life points are at least 2,000 or 2,000 higher than yours, you can set one rank up magic normal spell directly from your deck to your deck. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except Gimmick Puppets. So obviously you are locked into nothing but the Gimmick Puppets, but that really doesn't matter because aside from your Gedarla, the rest of your monsters are all Gimmick Puppets, so that's pretty cool. And then we got 2 copies of Solemn Warning because obviously you don't want your opponent to summon anything at all. Moving on into the extra deck, I'm going to go from links to rank 10s to rank 9s because I want to showcase you guys how crazy this extra deck is. So first up for the links, we got 2 copies of Gimmick Puppet Chimera Doll. This card is pretty cool because it's basically a Stratos for the whole deck. So its effect reads, during your main phase, if you control this link summon card, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Machine Xyz monsters. Also take 1 Gimmick Puppet monster from your deck, either add it to your hand or send it to the grave. Then if all monster control are Gimmick Puppet monsters minimum 1, you can special summon a Gimmick Puppet monster from your hand. So basically, if you have let's say Magnet Doll in your hand already, and you add Twilight Joker, you can special summon the Twilight Joker off of the Chimera Doll's effect, and then special summon Magnet Doll to your board, and you instantly get obviously the Giant Grinder or the Gimmick Puppet of Strains. Activate Quick Chaos, and you can go into either the Giant Hunter or the Gimmick Puppet of Dark Streams, which is pretty cool. Next up, we've got the 1 Nightmare Unicorn. This is basically a compulse for the whole deck. What's interesting about this is that Nightmare Unicorn, if you have a good amount of nightmares on board, then during your draw phase, instead of drawing 1 card, you get to draw an additional card for each nightmare that's co-linked to Nightmare Unicorn. So because I've got the Nightmare Griffin and the Nightmare Phoenix in the side, this is basically three additional cards during your draw phase, which is pretty cool. So again, it's basically a compulse, but instead of adding it back to the hand, it goes back into the deck, which is pretty cool. Next up, we've got 2 copies of Gimmick Puppet Gigantus Doll. This is basically the weirdest card you could ever play, but it's basically a double snatch steal. So its effect reads, you can detach 2 materials from this card, target up to 2 monsters your opponent controls, gain control of them until the end phase, and for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon monsters except Gimmick Puppet monsters, nor declare an attack except with the Xyz monsters. You contribute this card. All monsters you currently control become 8 until the end of the turn. So if you were to gain control of your opponent's monsters that have a level instead of a rank, you can banish your Gigantus Doll. They both become level 8. Guess what? You get a rank 8 right then and there. So it doesn't matter what it really doesn't matter what you do. Either way, you're going to be going into your Giant Grinder. You're going to go into your Strings. You're going to go into your Gimmick Puppet of Leo no matter what, which is pretty nuts. Pretty fucking nuts. But speaking of the rank 8s, we've got the two Giant Grinder, the 2 Gimmick Puppet of Dark Strings, and the 1 Gimmick Puppet of Leo. Giant Grinder basically just pops monsters that or rather can pop monsters that your opponent controls that were special summoned, and they instantly get destroyed. And if the monster was an Xyz monster, they take damage equal to that monster's original attack, which is really cool. Gimmick Puppet of Strings is very conditional, because I'll read its effect to you guys. So Strings effect reads: once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, place 1 string counter on each face-up monster on the field, except this card. Once per turn, during the next end phase of the opponent, of the player who played a string counter or counters by this effect, destroy the monster with string counters, and if you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed. So it's very conditional, because if you were to activate a card like, say, Quick Chaos, and you go Strings into Dark Strings, then it's going to be rather interesting. So you guys are wondering, what does Dark Strings do? His effect reads: if this card is supposed to summon, destroy as many monsters with string counters as possible, and if you do, draw 1 card. Then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the highest original attack among those destroyed monsters in the grave, your choice if tied. Once per turn, you can detach a material from this card, place 1 string counter on each face-up monster your opponent controls. So it's rather conditional, because if you activate Quick Chaos and you go into the Dark Strings, then all the monsters that had string counters instantly get destroyed, and you get to draw a card, which it's not too bad. But the only downside is that you're going to be placing string counters on your opponent again by detaching one of Dark Strings materials. So if you go into another copy of Gimmick Puppet of Strings, then you basically get to deal damage to your opponent. So as long as you have Strings and Dark Strings on board, you basically have yourself, I guess you could say, a rather interesting loop of being able to deal damage to your opponent while drawing cards as well, which is not too bad, actually. And then of course we got the one Gimmick Puppet of Leo, which is basically your win condition. Because if you go into Disaster Leo, there's practically no shot that you're going to be able to win. But with Disaster Leo, as long as you're able to fend off your opponent, by using cards, such as the Feather Duster, the Solemn Warning, the Puppet Parades and whatnot, then you basically have your win condition is basically going to help you win no matter what, which is pretty cool. And then to round up the rest of the extra, we got the two copies of Chaos number 15 Giant Hunter, the 2 Chaos 40 Gimmick Puppet of Dark Strings, and then the 1 Chaos 88 Gimmick Puppet Disaster Leo to round out the extra deck. For the side deck, this is only my preference because of the fact that this deck is rather a little bit difficult to build, depending on what type you want to build. This one was more of a control beatdown style, I guess you could say. So for a style like that, I've got 2 copies of Lava Golem, 2 Gamsteel the Sea Turtle Kaiju, 2 Ash Blossom, 2 Ghost Bell, the Nightmare Griffin, the Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Called By, 2 Forbidden Chalice, which, if you guys don't know, Forbidden Chalice is basically the budget version of Imperm. So if you don't have Imperm, then Chalice is the second best card to use for a deck like this. And then 2 copies of Solemn Strike to round out the entire deck itself. So hopefully you guys enjoyed enjoyed this video. If you guys did, and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, follow me on my social media. Links will be in the description below, including my Instagram, because I always post the deck list on Instagram. So follow me on my Instagram. Link will be in the description, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.